الآن عندنا المتحدث الثاني أو الثالث بالأحرى، حقيقة محدث مهم جدا راح يكون موجود وما يقل عنهم الآخرين اللي تكلموا، ما يقلون عنه أيضا. راح يكون هو السيد هانز أستوك، تجربة استونيا نحو التحول الرقمي الناجح، الدروس الأساسية المستفادة. راح يكلمنا رئيس مجلس الإدارة في أكاديمية الحوكمة الإلكترونية eGA في استونيا، وانا كان لي شرف ايضا المشاركه يوم كنت في الجهاز المركزي لتكنولوجيا المعلومات في شيء يسمونه DMA Digital Maturity Assessment، كان مع الجماعه في eGA. I would like to call Mr. Hans Aston to come to the stage to deliver his valuable speech.
Well, good morning, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Pleased to see you here. I will explain you today a little bit what is Estonian digital journey, what we have achieved, and especially focusing on importance of a cooperation between the government institutions, as the topic of a forum of 11th Kuwait e-government forum is how to build better interoperability inside the government. So my personal journey in digital government started when I was joining Estonian public sector in the municipal level. Further continued when I was member of parliament. So everything what about I will tell you, it's something what I have learned by myself and from my own experiences. Our organization, Estonian e-Governance Academy, is a consultancy organization what is focusing to assist governments in their digital transformation. And all our experts are having their own experience from the government, either policymakers, either administrators, government staff members. So we all have our own hands-on experience about the digital government and digital transformation, both in Estonia and many other countries. So what is Estonia actually? Estonia is a small country. It's 3 times bigger by territory than Kuwait, but by population it's 3 times smaller. So we have only 1.3 million people in the territory what is 3 times bigger than Kuwait. And we are part of European Union. We are using currency as a euro. And most importantly, from 1991, we regained our independence as we earlier were part of the Soviet Union after the Second World War. So this means that we started fresh about 35 or 30 years ago, and I think this kind of approach to change the country, the drive for the modernization to become a modern country, is actually the drive behind the digital government also. Some rankings. Estonia ranks high in various rankings, including internet freedom, digital public services, and in the last UN e-government survey, we ranked second immediately after Denmark in the UN e-government survey. So I think it proves that our digital government is world-class, and we are happy to share our experiences, what we did, how we get there, and what are our next plans. It all starts at the beginning of 90s. As said, we regained the independence. The country was very poor. Also, we didn't have any kind of databases because after the collapse of Soviet Union, there was a clear need to rebuild the whole country. We didn't have citizens registry because earlier everyone was citizen of Soviet Union, but doesn't matter anymore. We didn't have land registry because all land belongs, before 1991, belongs to the government. So there was no idea to keep a land register. So we need to build the new land registry, we need to build the new citizens registry, population registry. We also need to build the new business registry because earlier there was no private businesses. So we need to start also with a new business registry, and we need to start with a new property registry. So this means that at the beginning of 90s, as you can imagine that at the beginning of 90s, there was a huge computerization started globally. So when the new government, with very young political leaders, prime minister was 33 years old only. So when they started, when they understand that probably computerization will help us, probably the digital registers are better than paper registers. Probably internet will help us somehow. They didn't know how it works. They didn't know how it will help. They understood that it's better to make everything immediately digital rather than continue old-fashioned paperwork. And we have had a previous experience from former colonizing country that paperwork doesn't work. It's an endless source of corruption, it's slow, it's stupid. So we shifted to a digital. And this was the kickoff at the beginning of 90s. After we build up our registries in digital, we understand that we need to exchange the data. Otherwise, we start to collect every piece of information in the separate registries. We start to duplicate the data, and we are ending up in the mess. So we build up a data exchange system, and I will explain it a little bit later. We understood also that we need to identify our citizens, because if you don't identify your citizens uniquely, and also in machine readable format, cannot understand who is who. So we moved to the ID card and digital signature. And citizens started to ask that, hi guys, if your data in the government registries are in digital format, why we cannot have online services? Why we still need to provide our annual tax reports or any other application in paper format, and when you submit it to the digital registries? Why we cannot have online services? Okay, today is in 2024, and it looks normal that everything is digital. But 20 years back, it was not normal. 20 years back, it was exception. So, so all this kind of ideas, what are today normal, were not normal 20 years ago. And someone has told me a few years ago that, you know, Estonia did everything by the book. I said, I agree with you, but we write the book. We wrote the book because 20 years back, there was no book to follow. So in this sense, I think inventing and reinventing the government should be the approach of each and every country. What was good today is not good anymore tomorrow. What is innovation today, it's normality tomorrow, and day after tomorrow, it's already obsolete because technology allows us to change the things much more rapidly. Our understanding in Estonia is that we need to be, as a government, proactive. This means that we don't need to wait until the citizen is applying for something. We need to support the citizens in their journey. We need to proactively, based on life events, advise citizens what could be the next steps. What are the services what are available for you? And in the case of some life events, we can immediately advise also citizens what you need to do next. If there is a newborn child in the family, we don't need to wait until the citizen is coming to the government office to register the birth of newborn children. We can immediately notify the citizens what are your next steps, how you can assign the name for the kid, how you can register him or her, and how you can apply for the social benefits. And more importantly, can you do it in one click? Not that registering the birth is one operation, or assigning the name is another operation, and applying for whatever benefits or subsidies a third operation. Can you do it in one click? If you're assigning the name for the children, it immediately means also registration and applying for the benefit. But I come back to it, and what we have learned, and each of those services contains the data from various government agencies. There is no single agency service what you are providing as a government. And I think it's not unique only for Estonia, but it applies globally for each and every government. Because whatever service you are providing for your citizens or businesses, this means that you are using or reusing the data from various data sources inside the government. And this means that we need to talk to each other as a government agencies. We need to share the data, and we need to rely on the data what other government agencies are collecting, because otherwise we are collecting the same data what is already existing in some of the government databases, and at the end of the day we don't know what is the right version of the data what we are using. But I come back to it. So I'm really happy to explain you what is digital government ecosystem in Estonia, and later I will show you also, based on one service, how much interoperability or data sharing we need for one or another service, and how we are actually doing it in Estonia. And I hope it provides some information, some inspiration for you. Maybe it's all done already in Kuwait. Sorry, I'm not expert on Kuwait. It's my second day in Kuwait and first visit here. But I believe that there is much common things that are both applicable in Kuwait and Estonia, and I'm happy to share it. The basic understanding in Estonia what we have is taken from the World Bank report 2016, what is called digital dividends. And this is available online and really great reading. And the narrative what World Bank brings in this report is that there are two types of elements what are like enablers for a great digital government. The first set is digital elements. It's databases, interoperability, identity, services portal, cybersecurity, various sectorial solutions. And this is all technical. And, and definitely each and every digital government needs those elements. But there are also analog elements. Without those analog elements, digital government is just not functioning. So we need legislation and regulations, sustainable organizations to support the digital government development, financing of fiscal framework, change management, digital skills, and political will. And if you're starting now to think about the success stories of one or another digital government, you will see that those who are focusing only on digital elements, meaning focusing only on technology, are usually not successful. But those who are balancing and focusing both to analog and digital elements are usually much more successful. Because without those analog elements, like legislation, regulation, organization, financing, and so on, nothing is happening. So to enable, to get benefit out of all those technology solutions, we need also always think about those analog elements and also keep focus on them, because technology itself is not solving anything. Without changing business processes, without skilled people, without organization and regulations, not that much is happening. And this is our lesson from Estonia also, that don't focus only on digital elements, think very much about those so-called analog elements. Now, going to the service delivery process in the government. So let's first of all figure out where is the bottleneck, what is the problem, what we are solving actually. In traditional public service delivery, probably known for you also from several years or decades ago, was the situation that the citizen or businessman was the person who was visiting various government offices, collecting various pieces of data in the formats of certificates or various documents from various government agencies, and then submitting it back to the third government office, who was finally making decision based on the documents and applications what the citizen or businessman was submitting. And this is the paper-based model where from we want to get rid of it. At the same time, all those certificates and other copies of documents are actually pieces of data what are already existing in some of the government databases. If you are providing your copy of your birth certificate, actually your birth certificate is outprint of citizens or population registry of your country. So it's actually already existing in your government databases. If you are providing the certificate of place of living, it's also actually outprint of one or another piece of the data what is already existing in the government. So this means that actually you are collecting the data from the government and submitting it back to the government. So this means that government offices don't talk to each other. But this was the issue when everything was based on paper. So now we can ask, can technology change it? This kind of one-stop shop model is definitely much better. Citizen must visit government office usually twice, once to submit the application, and when the government officials internally collecting all necessary data, and the citizen or businessman can come back and collect the necessary document or certificate or whatever he or she was applying. So, but this model is also pretty much time consuming. And I will explain you after a few slides what I mean by time consuming for the citizens and for the government. In Estonia, we believe that it should be self-service. There should be opportunity for the citizens to apply either through the web portal or through the mobile application to get all necessary data from the government and in automated manner to get the more or less automated response for his or her application. And what we need for it? First of all, we need digital data, what is accessible. We need also secure data exchange and portal and citizen applications, and we need strong digital identity for this purpose. Based on this platform, all the ministries, agencies, municipalities in Estonia, by using this platform, can deliver their digital services. Now, a very rough calculation. If citizens need to go to government office, the travel to a government office already can take few hours. To fill the application, waiting in line to submit the application, travel back home, and second time, almost the same process. Very rough calculation, maybe not applicable for the Kuwait, but very much applicable for Estonia, and you can change the numbers. But anyway, it takes like more or less 3 working days, what you are just wasting to submit the application and pick up the document. 3 working days. And there are thousands of services and hundreds of thousands of people who are applying for those services. And usually the time what citizens are using is their working time. So the damage for the national economy is actually huge because people cannot be productive. They just must travel to the government offices, wait in line, submit the applications, and so on. So the total damage for the national economy is actually huge. And what we have calculated that the general win is not only in the government side, that government is more efficient, government can provide more transparently services and more efficiently, but actually the greatest win is that people can concentrate to their work during the working time and can be productive. So this means that also whole country and national economy can be more productive and more successful. You can use this calculation for your inspiration and try to put the figures on actually what is applicable for Kuwait, and when you see what is your actual win for the national economy. So let's go quickly through the digital elements. As said, we consider in Estonia that digital databases, interoperability, services portal, and digital identity are the shared government platform services what are available for all government institutions and partly also for the private institutions to provide various types of public services and semi-public services. So first of all, digital data. We believe that from digital databases, we need to move to digital accessible data. And until the data is in paper format, you cannot use it for the digital services, or otherwise you need to scan for every application the necessary data. So it all started with massive digitalization of paper archives, and we assigned unique numeric identifiers for each citizen, business, real estate, land parcels, and so on. And we're using those unique numeric identifiers across the government in all transactions. Wherever I'm, as a citizen, applying, my identity number, or actually unique numeric identifier, is used. In healthcare, in social security, in court, in transportation, everywhere my identity number is the one with what I'm identified. This also means that I can change my name, but my identity number remains the same. Only in very rare cases you can change your identity number. But in most of the cases, it follows you from the moment of birth, and the identity number is assigned until your death or even later. So another important principle is that once only. Citizens never have to provide the same information twice for the government. If I have told to the government that my home address is changed and my new home address is this and this, all other government institutions must use the information what I have provided to the population registry, and they must retrieve this information to contact me from the population registry. No one else cannot ask what is my home address, because the government knows it already. And for me, it's one government. I don't know how you organize the work inside the government as a citizen, but the government must share information internally. And this is the key principle. And citizens and businesses knowing it, and this is also important because they are pushing the government not to do the thing that asking the same information twice. So it has led us to the situation that there is no duplicated data in the government registers. We have cleaned the registries. All those who were collecting duplicated data, they cancelled to collect this data because according to the law, they cannot do it anymore. So the databases become the single source of truth. This also means that there should be clear understanding about the metadata, who is collecting what in the government, and also what we have discussed, that it should be clear that who owns the data. And we have decided that the data is owned by the citizens. So it's not government who is owning my data. I own my data. Government is just handling it. So this means that also I have control over my data. In many cases, government is eligible to collect the data. I cannot refuse. But in some cases, I can also close my data If I don't want that my medical records are available for other hospitals, I can close it. But this means also that I take responsibility, that if something is going wrong because I didn't open my data, I'm responsible for it. And last but not least, important is that each and every authority is responsible for their data quality. But as every authority is collecting only limited data set, so they can focus on the data quality. And it's important because they are sharing the data with other institutions who are relying on the data what others are collecting. We are using the unique identity number in all our public documents or our identity documents, in ID card, in passport, in the driving license. So the identity number is basically public, and this means that whatever institutions you are visiting to get whatever service, either you're going online or offline, you must first of all tell your identity number. And even if you're going to a private institutions, either telecoms or utility companies, also they are identifying their clients by the same government-issued identity number. So now the next question is how to exchange the data. And this is important part because if you don't organize the data exchange, you are getting into a mess. If each and every government institutions is building up their own standards to exchange the data with other government institutions, it's ending up with a mess. It's clear, it's proven. It's unsecure, it's not technically functional, and it's probably also illegal. So actually why we need this kind of massive data exchange solution also. Not only exchange the data by one, like if I apply for the passport, probably I need some pieces of the data, but we need it also for the massive data exercises. Each and every month, our pension authority is paying out pension and benefits for around 500,000 people. There are child-related benefits, pensions, social security benefits, whatever it is. And before paying out all those benefits and pensions, the pension authority has just one question. Are all those people alive? Not because otherwise they are paying out the pensions and subsidies and benefits to the people who are passed away. And as you can imagine, families might be very innovative to cash the benefits immediately from the bank account. So they have this big question. What they are doing, they are sending the question, actually query, massive query with 500,000 ID numbers to the civic registry or population registry in the case of Estonia, and through the automated interoperability solution X-Road, we are getting automated response about around 1,000 people who are passing away each month. And the response is timestamped and digitally signed, and when the response, it takes like 20 minutes, and when this, it's landing to a pension authority, they can already delete those payments that are not eligible anymore and start the payment of the pensions and subsidies. So this is very practical, because to do it manually, it takes actually a lot of man hours. This is general picture of our organized data exchange. I don't stop on it. Happy to share more, and you can find a lot of information about it from internet. But this is the backbone of Estonian government. It's not anymore backbone of Estonian digital government. It's a backbone of Estonian government. Without it, we cannot function, because all the services, all the planning services also are related to the data exchange. We are exchanging the data in millions and millions of queries every day in Estonia. And we really can come back to it that we need to keep the similar data sets in each and every institutions. We are relaying to other institutions, we are sharing the data every day. Also, single source of truth are easily accessible. It's easy, everything is standardized. It's easy to develop services. and also each and every transaction is verified and timestamped. So if we need to prove it later in the court, it's doable. We can prove that this data in this certain moment was as it was presented. It's having a legal value. We also have strong digital identity, as we needed to identify our citizens. It connects physical and digital identity, and it's based on our population registry or population management system. So it's not standalone solution. It's all connected to each other. We are using for digital identity in Estonia 3 types of carriers. The first one is ID card, what is first compulsory document for all Estonian citizens and residents. So this means that if you are getting citizenship or if you are getting 16 years old, you are getting ID card, you can get it also earlier as a travel document inside European Union, but you are getting the digital features of a card only when you are getting 16. It's definitely understandable that citizens don't use ID card with ID card reader in their computers anymore that much. So people have switched, first of all, to the mobile phone SIM card based digital identity solution, and now most of them have switched to the smartphone application, what is connected also to our digital identity ecosystem. So smartphone solution is the one what citizens are using daily to prove their identity in various government and non-government solutions. Efficiency. We have calculated that each digital signature saves minimum 20 minutes per transaction. You don't need to go somewhere, you don't need to sign something, you just do it with your computer or mobile phone, and then it's done. And it's a remarkable win also, again, for the nation, because if we say that each digital signature saves, let's say, €2 or dollars, so far Estonians have provided more than 2 billion digital signatures. So we have saved, like, as a nation, 4 billion euros. It's like 1/4 of Estonian national budget annually. It's a great saving. We don't waste any more money for the paper, ink, printing, mailing. Okay, our postal service is not happy about it, but anyway, we are efficient. We can do it from any corner of the world. If I today need to sign some documents, probably I need to do it soon, I can do it here from Kuwait, and no one needs to wait for me until I'm appearing in the office. Definitely we have national portal, I don't stop on it, and the key question is, who is developing the services? We have this ecosystem, and now the question is, who is developing the services? The national ecosystem is run by national government, paid by national government, so each and every ministry, agency, and municipality can use it free of charge. So no one needs to pay to get connected to it. And this is important because in some countries, you need to pay as a ministry for each and every transaction, to each and every data query you are doing. This is free of charge because we have understood that this is the best model. Otherwise, institutions are starting to limit themselves with data queries. And what we have reached today, 99% of the government services are digital and available online. There is a couple of exceptions. It's marriage. You can apply for the marriage online, but finally, when you need to go to government officials or other clerk who is finally making sure that it's your clear will. And there is like a cool down period, we call it. You need to apply, and then you need to wait for 1 month, because otherwise, might happen that on Friday night you meet someone, you may like to marry her or him, and when you wake up next morning, you understand that it was not a good idea. So this means that, but you can apply and then do it actually. Also, divorce is not possible online because it's much complex issue than just separating two people, but it might be children rights and other issues. And also real estate transactions are considered important, so you cannot do it by yourself as an online transaction, but you need to involve the third independent party, as a notarius publicus, who is doing the transaction instead of you, actually digitally. So, and you can participate also through a video call by identifying yourself with your ID card or other means. So as you can see, the reasons why those services are not available online are not technical. It's about trust. We consider that those services are so important for citizens' life, in citizen life, but there should be someone, third party, who is confirming the will that the people who are doing these transactions are actually willing to do it. So they are sober. You know, Estonians drink a lot. Luckily, you don't have this problem here. So people are in good mental health when they are doing those transactions, or no one is motivating them with a small gun. Because if you're online, you don't know in what environment people are doing those transactions. So in this sense, we need also to consider cultural background of a country and general understanding what is trusted and what is not trusted and what is important and what is not important. Well, renewing driving license. This is one of the issues what many countries are facing. And this is a picture from, I don't know even from which country, where people are trying to submit their applications to replace their driving license. So probably it's not, no one is happy to do it in this kind of environment. So much better is do it by yourself in suitable environment for you. And let's take a look how we can replace the driving license in Estonia. And this also explains how we are reusing the data. So basically, to start the driving license change, because it's expiring after every 10 years in normal conditions, and when you are getting older, you must replace it even often. So first of all, you need to enter to the Transport Authority portal. And when you are entering it, you are guided to the National Authentication Service, what allows you to identify yourself either by ID card, mobile ID, or smartphone-based smart ID. This is a reusable service. This is not developed by the Transport Authority. This is developed by National Authentication Service, so it's available for all government institutions. You don't need to develop your own authentication service, it's plug and play. So we are and when you're starting to identify yourself, this means that you can reuse the service from other government institution. When you are logged in, the next question what is appearing is that you need to identify your role. Either I'm logging in as a private person, or I'm logging in as a representative of various organizations. And those organizations what are represented there, it's again not the data of Transport Authority. This is the data from the Ministry of Justice, who is keeping the business registry. So all the businesses and other organizations are registered in the Ministry of Justice, and now this service has retrieved in this certain moment the information from the business registry and reusing it by identifying what kind of role or representative role I'm using in this current service. So I'm probably logging in as a private person, and now again, the service is asking, are my conditions and our information is correct. The service is retrieving from the population registry, what is owned by the Ministry of Interior, my residential address. Again, this Transport Authority do not collect it. just retrieving it for a certain service from another institution, Ministry of Interior. When it's checking the validity of a medical certificate, what is retrieved from the Ministry of Social Affairs. And when it's checking availability of photo and signature, and I come back to it. So again, at least 2 other institutions are involved in this service. The next question is that, do I have valid picture and valid sample of my signature, what should be printed to driving license? So it appears that I have, there is available 2 photos of me. Both are not very good actually. But one is from traffic register, the same transportation authority registry, because I was renewing my boat driving license recently. And another is from my identification document, actually from my ID card, what was taken by another institution of the police who is issuing the passports under the Ministry of Interior. So again, there is at least one piece of information is retrieved from other institution. And if I'm selecting one of them, I can move forward. When I need to pay for the service, when I'm redirected to the bank where I can pay it, and after the payment is done, everything is okay, and they're just asking from me what kind of delivery method I'd like to use. I've sent to my home address by regular mail, or I will come and pick it up from the Transportation Authority office. And finally, they're asking where to mail the letter with my new driving license. Is it the same, what is my home address, or I want to get it to another address for certain reasons? And that's it. So it looks very simple, but at the same time, there is already, I can calculate at least minimum 4 other pieces of information from 4 other institutions were retrieved during this service. So this means that no one is living alone, no agency is living alone, everyone is using for each and every service information pieces from other institutions. But now we need to ask, was it simple enough? You may say it was, but we think it was not. It should be more simple. And we believe that in very close future, the future of the services must be much more proactive, definitely always online, we're always available, and always very intuitive. Because this service was actually, if you think that your 75 years old grandmother wants to use this service, it was probably too complex for her. So it should be much more easier actually, and we believe that in close future, everything must be in government application in smartphone. It's not yet, but we hope to get there very soon. And I think we believe that if my driving license is about to expire, so this means that I just need to get the notification to my smartphone and say, if I want to get it, say yes. And actually all the process behind it would start, because government knows, do I have medical certificate? Government knows, do I have right to drive at all? Have I passed the exams? They know my home address where to send the driving license. They know that I have valid medical certificate. And if I need to pay for it, they can send just a notification to my bank, and it will pay automatically. I should confirm it during few days. So basically, we just need one click to say yes, and after the government can mail me the new driving license to my home address. But finally, we need to ask, do we need also at all the physical driving license? Because if a police stops me in Estonia, they have their onboard computers in their cars, and they can immediately check all my data. So basically, I need driving license only if I'm driving abroad. I am driving to neighboring countries who cannot access Estonian data, or I'm driving in somewhere else who don't know at all what is Estonia, except that the driving license is valid. But inside Estonia, basically, we don't need any kind of documents. So, to summarize, it's all about data reusing and sharing and process simplification and reengineering. It's nothing else rather than simplifying and the processes and reusing the data inside the government. It's all about reforming and modernizing the society. So we don't need to think, is it like about the government only? It's changing the whole society and making the whole society much more efficient, much more transparent, and much more competitive also in global scale. And last but not least, this is the role of a government to drive this change with a vision and plan, and to have leadership, organization, and provide resources for it. Thank you very much.